History and milestones of the SDGs. Dive into the inspiring history and key milestones that transformed decades of development efforts into a single, powerful global vision, the Sustainable Development Goals. Where did the idea of global goals for a better world come from? How did 193 nations agree on 17 goals that aim to end poverty, fight inequality, and save the planet? What led to the birth of the SDGs in 2015, and what milestones have shaped their journey since then? Introduction to SDGs. The Sustainable Development Goals (SDGs) are a set of 17 interlinked global goals designed to be a blueprint to achieve a better and more sustainable future for all. Adopted by all 193 United Nations member states in September 2015, these goals form the core of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. The SDGs are universal. They apply to all countries regardless of income, and cover a wide range of issues such as poverty, hunger, health, education, gender equality, clean water, climate action, and strong institutions. Together, they represent a holistic effort to balance economic growth, social inclusion, and environmental protection. Historical background. From MDGs to SDGs. The roots of the SDGs lie in the Millennium Development Goals, MDGs, which were adopted in the year 2000. The MDGs comprised 8 goals aimed at addressing extreme poverty and human development issues such as maternal health, child mortality, and HIV/AIDS by the year 2015. While the MDGs made significant progress, including a substantial reduction in global poverty rates and improved access to education, they were criticized for being narrow in scope, lacking sustainability focus, and applying primarily to developing countries, without accountability for richer nations. Recognizing these limitations, a global consultation process began in the early 2010s to define a more inclusive, ambitious, and universal development agenda. There was a growing consensus that the post-2015 agenda should address not only poverty and inequality but also climate change, peace, sustainability, and institutional integrity. This led to the conceptualization of the SDGs. Formation of the Sustainable Development Goals. The process of forming the SDGs was participatory and multi-stakeholder in nature. It formally began at the Rio+20 Conference on Sustainable Development, held in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, in June 2012. The outcome document, titled, "The Future We Want," called for the creation of a set of universal goals to guide sustainable development beyond 2015. In response, the United Nations General Assembly established the Open Working Group, OWG, on Sustainable Development Goals in 2013. This group, composed of 30 countries representing all global regions, worked intensively for more than a year. After extensive global consultations, including dialogues with civil society, academia, the private sector, and youth, the OWG released a proposal in 2014 recommending 17 goals and 169 targets. These goals were debated, refined, and finalized over the next year. Finally, in September 2015, during the United Nations Sustainable Development Summit in New York, world leaders officially adopted the document titled Transforming Our World, the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. The 2030 Agenda came into effect in January 2016, and its implementation phase began worldwide. Key characteristics of the SDGs. The SDGs are distinct from the MDGs in many ways. Firstly, they are universal, designed to be implemented by all countries, regardless of their level of development. Secondly, they are comprehensive, addressing the three dimensions of sustainability: economic development, social inclusion, and environmental protection. Thirdly, they are measurable. Each goal has a set of indicators, over 230 global indicators, used to track progress. Finally, the SDGs emphasize the importance of partnerships among governments, civil society, and the private sector to achieve these goals collaboratively. Timeline and key milestones. 2000. United Nations adopts the Millennium Development Goals, MDGs. 2012. Rio+20 Conference sets the foundation for a new development framework. 2013. Creation of the Open Working Group, OWG, on SDGs. 2014. OWG submits its proposal for 17 goals and 169 targets. September 2015. SDGs formally adopted by 193 countries at the UN General Assembly. January 2016. Implementation of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development begins. 2017. The Global Indicator Framework for SDGs adopted by the UN Statistical Commission. 2020-2021. COVID-19 pandemic stalls progress, exposing global inequality and health system weaknesses. 2023. United Nations issues warning at the halfway mark that only 12% of targets are on track. 2024-2030. The world enters the critical decade of action, calling for accelerated efforts in all sectors. Midway challenges and the decade of action. As of 2024, the United Nations and independent global assessments have reported that progress toward many SDG targets is off track, particularly in goals related to poverty: 1 Sudanese pound hunger, 2 Sudanese pounds climate action, 13 Sudanese pounds, and biodiversity, SDGs 14 and 15. The COVID-19 pandemic, geopolitical conflicts, climate crises, and financial instability have slowed or reversed gains in many areas. This has led the UN to declare the need for a decade of action, urging all sectors of society to speed up implementation through innovation, funding, partnerships, and people-centered policies. Why the SDGs matter today. The SDGs are not just policy goals. They are a practical roadmap for a more just, equitable, and sustainable world. By addressing the root causes of poverty, inequality, and environmental degradation, they offer a common language and vision that can unite countries, businesses, institutions, and individuals. They provide a framework for impact and are increasingly integrated into corporate strategies, ESG reporting, government planning, educational curriculum, and community development programs. Achieving the SDGs will require unprecedented levels of collaboration and commitment, but their success would mean a future with zero poverty, gender equality, clean air and water, strong institutions, and sustainable development for generations to come. Level up your skills. Don't just browse, thrive. To unlock a constant stream of fresh ideas, cutting-edge insights, and skill-boosting content, make sure you like, share, subscribe, comment and follow this channel. Join our community of learners and stay ahead with every brainstorming post designed to elevate your expertise. Ready to transform your potential into power.